How aggressive will they be in the final seconds? Henderson can make a house call from anywhere. And look out! They're back for Ohio State. 75 yards.
The Ohio State Buckeyes just beat the Texas Longhorns 28-14 in the Cotton Bowl, and the Buckeyes are headed to the Natty. It was quite the path to get here, and this was a heck of a game. Ohio State definitely beat themselves and kept the Longhorns around for way too long. But ultimately, the talent gap eventually showed itself, and Jack Sawyer made a defensive play that will go down in Ohio State history. We have a lot to talk about in this video, and now looking ahead to the national championship, the Buckeyes will face off against Notre Dame for all the marbles. Before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I know we can get there super fast. Alright, so starting off with a little recap of the game, the Longhorns started off their first drive of the game showing a bit of early offense, but on 4th and 3, the Ohio State defense got a big stop to set the tone. And Chip Kelly decided to come out of the gates running with Judkins, and then as the offense expanded, Will Howard found Egbuka twice, and then he threw what should have been a touchdown to Carnell Tate, but it was dropped, and Judkins on the next play was able to power his way into the end zone. After this, I honestly thought the game was going to be a blowout. But this was when the boring offense started. I gotta give a lot of credit to Texas for taking number 4 out of the game, but Ohio State way too many times shot themselves in the foot. Henderson getting an unsportsmanlike penalty is a unicorn sighting, and then the false starts, the stupid plays, this was starting to look like a Ryan Day masterclass. Right before halftime, Texas finally got on the board to tie the game when Quinn Ewers hit Bolden for a 24-yard gain, and then Jada Blue caught an 18-yarder going into the end zone. Texas really only had one play going for them the entire game. Ohio State could not figure out how to contain the wheel route. They were getting burned time and time again, but besides that, I thought the defense was phenomenal. With about 29 seconds left and all the momentum now in the Longhorns' favor, Chip Kelly drew up about as good of a play as possible for the situation. He definitely got lucky that Texas for some reason decided to come hot with pressure, but Henderson caught a screen pass out in space with more blockers in front of him than defenders. He just stayed patient and waited for the hole, and when it was created, he ran right through it. I always forget just how fast this guy is, but he went through the gap with lightning speed, and you knew he was gone right away, and all of a sudden, the air was sucked out of AT&T Stadium. So with a 14-7 lead, the Buckeyes received the ball coming out of the locker room. I thought that opening drive was going to be super telling for how the rest of the game would go, and I was sort of right, because out of the gate, it seemed like the offense was flowing. Egbuka caught a 13-yard pass, Henderson had 2 7-yard gains, but then Howard made a critical mistake, forcing a throw that was picked off. After that interception, it really felt like his rhythm was way off. The defense got a huge stop to give him another opportunity, but the offense just could not find it, and they couldn't find number 4. And the breaking point for me when I was starting to not feel good about things as a fan was when on 3rd and 1 for some reason Chip Kelly called a pitch play that lost a few yards. It was so obvious that the sneak would have done the job, and it felt like for no reason at all the coaching staff was going back to some of the stupid tendencies that lost them the Michigan game. And with about 3 minutes to go in the third, the Longhorns tied it up. Another wheel route to Blue. It felt like things were starting to slip away and the Buckeyes were committing dumb penalty after dumb penalty. But the fourth quarter was all Ohio State. One of the biggest plays of the game came when Will Howard on 4th and 2 took off himself. The defense did not expect it at all, and he showed off some of that sneaky athleticism, or in other words, he showed that he was white. He broke off loose, but just didn't have enough in the tank and wasn't fast enough and ended up tripping about 10 yards short of the end zone. But now looking in hindsight, that was probably the best thing that could have happened because it ran some clock, and Judkins took it into the end zone from the 1 to go up 21-14. And we all know what happened after that. Texas scared me a little bit with how easily they were able to carve up the defense. It looked like they were going to score, and the Buckeyes secondary committed 2 flags on back-to-back plays. So Texas had it on the 1-yard line on 1st and goal, but the defensive line stood strong on the first run. And then Texas decided to do what Ohio State did, and they ran a pitch on 2nd down, and Simon and a few others blew it up. That was the real play of the season right there, because then Texas was in panic mode, and on 4th down, Sawyer made the play of his life, getting a scoop and score to seal the deal to send Ohio State to the Natty. Just that play alone had so many storylines to it. Jack Sawyer, if you didn't know, actually was roommates with Quinn Ewers back when he was at Ohio State, which is a pretty crazy circumstance. And Sawyer was a Buckeyes fan his whole life as well. So to make what may go down as one of the biggest plays in the history of the school on this stage is something you almost can't even draw up in your head and dream of. And I know throughout this season I have been so hard on Ryan Day, and so has everyone else, but at the end of the day I do have to give credit where it's due. Because even with all the obstacles and challenges throughout this season, the Buckeyes are now headed to the national championship a decade later, and they are the heavy favorites to win. But me being who I am, I'm still going to drop the negatives. Because the team was very undisciplined in this game, the Bucs themselves were the reason why Texas was in this game. They shot themselves in the foot way too many times, and even with the double coverage, I would have liked to see the ball go number 4's way a bit more. But yeah, the Buckeyes won the trenches in this game, and that is one of the main reasons why they won, and as I've mentioned in my last few videos, you can still win in the trenches by throwing the ball. For the most part, especially early on, the pocket was clean and Will Howard had so much time to throw. The Texas D-line was creating pressure in the second half, but the offensive line definitely continued to build on some of the positive habits they have created over the last 2 games. And the defensive line took over. JT, Sawyer, they were all over the place. Sawyer, of course, obviously was the player of the game, but even outside of that scoop and score, he got his hand on and deflected quite a few passes at the line of scrimmage. And then Styles, Simon, and Downs were really good in the secondary outside of those wheel routes, but at the end of the day, for as much as it felt like the Buckeyes couldn't guard them, holding a team like that to 14 points is pretty much as good as anyone realistically is gonna do. Anyways, now looking ahead to the Notre Dame game, this is a very intriguing matchup. I know Ohio State is opening up as the heavy favorite, but Ryan Day needs to get this team to clean up the self-inflicted wounds, because the Irish are very well coached and disciplined, and they are creative as well. They will often line up in weird formations, they will try to catch you off guard, and Jeremiah Love is an absolute animal, and so is Prince. Both these teams have very similar backfields, and Marcus Freeman prides his team on winning in the trenches. So to me, the defensive line that can cause the most havoc will walk away with the trophy. That is my early thought about this game, but I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys are thinking. But going back to this win over Texas, here's what Ryan Day as well as some of the other guys had to say in their post-game interviews.
We've had to show throughout the entire season and through some of these guys' career has led us to this opportunity to win this game and go play for a national championship. And we talked before the game about how do you leave a legacy is, to become your own legend. And there's some guys on this team today that, and I believe, will become legends in Ohio State history. And
Coach has put us in great spots all game long. And, like Coach Day said, that's a really good football team that we just played. And hats go off to them, Coach Sark and Quinn. They're a great team, and they'll be back here, I'm sure, for the next couple of years. And man, God is great. He put me in a great position to make a play, and I was fortunate enough to do that. And, the resiliency of this team, from a month ago, it's been incredible. And it's been led by guys like these 2 men sitting next to me, and the whole team embodies that role because our leader is like that.
That's really all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point. And if you enjoyed it and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.